let's head to Dallas. Easy for me to say. Jeff McElfresh is there. He's the CEO of AT&T Communications, joining us on the phone. Jeff, great to have you with us.
Yeah, it's nice to join you guys.
All right, so I got to start with something that I saw earlier in the week. I tweeted it. I know a number of people saw it. Carol, I'm not sure if you saw it. It's John Krasinski, some good news, and this was one of those, like, I'm not crying, you're crying sort of situations where, I mean, it was amazing what Krasinski was doing, and you guys played a part in this, backing up the frontline nurses and physicians. Tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, Jason, I appreciate you calling that out. You know, there are times like this, just doing the right thing matters the most to most people. And very proud of AT&T and its heritage of service over the last 140 years. Today's unprecedented times are calling for us to take some unprecedented action. And as we scanned around and looked at the front lines and our heroes that are actually battling this COVID virus, we realized that our doctors and nurses are the true heroes on the front line. They're actually supported by the police and the fire and the EMTs. But in these hospitals, you know, these folks are critical for our country getting back to business and battling against this pandemic. And so, we offered to let them on to our FirstNet nationwide first responder network access for a 3-month no charge for service, because we really didn't want our frontline responders there in the hospitals worried about having to find a way to get connected, because they're people too, and they need that connectivity to do their job and stay in touch with their loved ones as you and I want to do as well.
Yeah, it was way cool. It was a very cool moment. So tell us a little bit. I mean, remind us what FirstNet is, because we live in a very different world from 20 years ago. So many people go back to 9/11 and making comparisons about this. These sorts of communications networks are just absolutely critical here. What have you learned in this crisis?
Yeah, Jason, that's a good call out. Back in 9/11, one of the things that we all recognized was we didn't do a good job of, or did not have infrastructure, I should say, that enabled our first responders to have quick, interoperable communications. And no matter what kind of crisis you're talking about, be it a pandemic, a hurricane, a fire, a flood, the ability for individuals to communicate, to serve their communities and tend to the front lines is critical. And so coming out of that learning way back when the United States government elected to put forward a dedicated public safety network, and they called on AT&T with our heritage of service to build that network for them. And this wireless broadband infrastructure that we have stood up is a very special thing. It not only provides for a very prestige access, a privileged access, priority access to our frontline first responders, but it also facilitates the different first responder agencies across, police, fire, medical professionals to interoperate more seamlessly. And our network that we stood up there for the FirstNet Authority has got 2 years on it, turned 2 years old during COVID. And I can tell you, it is performing exactly as our country designed it to perform. And we couldn't be more proud of how it's serving in the COVID crisis right now.
Jeff, I got to say, it's just, really encouraging to hear you talk about what you guys are doing for first responders, and just, as a company and as a corporate leader, just going out and taking action and just doing really what's the right thing to do. And I do wonder about the corporate community overall. Do you think enough are stepping up to kind of help in this situation, especially when we feel like in many ways the federal government, kind of has failed in taking care of a lot of people?
Well, I mean, I would offer that I've been in dialogue with many of our partners in the commercial markets, players that exist inside of the telecommunications industry, agencies of the U.S. government. We're all doing everything that we can. Really, there was no playbook for this. We're seeing some trends change. I would have never thought, for example, Carol, that we could operate a massive infrastructure with over 250,000 employees and be able to do that in a way where we're not physically located inside of our traditional administrative office space. We've had to make use of artificial intelligence to help our networks be self-resilient and heal themselves, as opposed to having technicians actually dispatch out to a location to repair a service issue. And so we're teaching ourselves in this environment how to do work, and to make that helpful, right, to facilitate that.
Right.
We at AT&T will deploy other tools like enabling our employees to work from home, and especially when our children are out of school and we don't have anybody to watch them, providing for paid time off benefits,
right,
or stipends and bonuses for the mission critical frontline personnel that have to be on the job in order to keep the infrastructure working. I think corporate America is doing everything it can do, and specifically at AT&T, I'm very proud of what we've done here across the board.
Well, I do wonder, Jeff, that this has got to come with a lot of challenges, and excuse me, and while it's probably good for business to some extent with all of the streaming and everything going on, and the network being used a lot, you still got to get out and service the lines. You've got to do all those things. How much have you had to do sort of extra or unanticipated to make sure your workers are safe?
Well, we've had to make the common sense policy changes. If you think about supporting communications infrastructure inside of your home or my home, sometimes that requires a technician to actually get in there and troubleshoot and fix some issues. Well, while we've got a nationwide lockdown, if you will, we've had to add certain policies and procedures to ensure that not only are our technicians safe, but our customers that we serve are safe. And you do that through a couple of measures, things like the personal protective equipment that has been talked about across the media for the last 5 or 6 weeks: masks, hand sanitizers, gloves, hygiene protocols. We've also had to shift the way we actually staff certain facilities. If you think call centers, typically you'll have 2,000 to 3,000 employees working under one roof. We've had to pivot that workflow to those individuals for them to be able to do that from the confines of their own home while
Right.
they shelter in place but continue to serve customers. And so there's a lot of shifts that we're learning, and I think we're not the only company that is dealing with this. I can tell you, as a major supplier partner to a lot of corporate America, we've been called in to help our clients shift their
Figure that out.
workforce.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's been
Interesting.
a really fascinating period.
All right. We really appreciate it. We're going to leave it there. Jeff McElfresh is Chief Executive Officer of AT&T Communications, joining us on the phone from Dallas, and I do recommend that Krasinski clip. It's really good.
To learn more about AT&T and our response to the coronavirus, subscribe to this channel, visit the AT&T newsroom, or watch more videos on the playlist seen here.